The 2023 NFL Draft is almost here, and I wanted to come out with my final mock draft of the offseason. So, yeah, before we do get started, of course, like the video if you guys end up enjoying it, since it really helps out the channel. Subscribe if you guys are new and you guys really enjoy content like this. And a few notes. One, there are going to be a few trades in this video. Two, I'm making the picks based off what I would do personally. And then lastly, I'm gonna try and vary it that way it's not like a carbon copy of my mock draft 1 and 2. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this video started. Now with the first overall pick, the Carolina Panthers select Bryce Young, a quarterback from Alabama. I don't have a lot to say for this pick. The Panthers will take a quarterback here, and I think Bryce Young is the best quarterback in this year's draft. I mean, besides the fact that he lacks size, he has basically everything you want from a quarterback, in my opinion. So, yeah, really all I gotta say for this pick. With the second overall pick, the Houston Texans select C.J. Stroud, a quarterback from Ohio State. Now, there are rumors out there that the Texans will take a defensive player if Bryce Young is not available here, but I think they should take a quarterback. Now, I know that C.J. Stroud does not always handle pressure well. The team that he played on at Ohio State was extremely stacked, and I'll say that he does miss some throws that he should be making. But that being said, I think he's a great quarterback prospect, you know. He's really accurate, he can use his legs a little bit, and he has a really strong arm, and I think he has good fundamentals for the most part. So, yeah, man, if I'm the Texans, I would take C.J. Stroud in this case. With the third overall pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Will Anderson, an edge rusher from Alabama. I know I did trade down in the last mock draft, and I could see them doing that in this year, but I'm not going to trade down in this one. Will Anderson is the best edge rusher prospect in this class, and definitely one of the best edge rusher prospects in the past 5-10 years. And the Cardinals have holes all over their defense, besides I'd say linebacker and I guess safety. But yeah, they really need to improve that defensive line. Will Anderson could be a big upgrade. With the fourth overall pick, the Indianapolis Colts select Will Levis, a quarterback from Kentucky. Will Levis is pretty raw, and he does need to iron out a lot of fundamental issues, but that being said, he has every single physical tool you want from a quarterback. That man has elite arm strength. He can move pretty well. I think he has decent mobility, and he did play in a pro-like system at Kentucky, not to mention he has really good size, and if he can iron out his fundamental issues, he will be an elite quarterback in the NFL. With the fifth overall pick via the Denver Broncos, the Seattle Seahawks select Jalen Carter, a defensive tackle from Georgia. Jalen Carter is by far the best defensive tackle prospect we've seen probably in the last 5 to 10 years, and you could argue is the best player in the draft, but it really is just character concerns. But if he can, stay clean and, not be in the news for the wrong reasons, then I have no doubt in my mind that Jalen Carter will be one of the best defensive tackles in the league. And the Seahawks, I think they could improve at that position, although they did add Draymond Jones. With the sixth overall pick via the Rams, the Detroit Lions select Christian Gonzalez, a cornerback from Oregon. Now the Lions, they did sign Cameron Sutton and I believe Emmanuel Mosley, who are decent players, but I think they still lack a number one corner. Christian Gonzalez, he is big, he is fast, he has good technique, good ball skills, he is good in man and in zone coverage. He's flat out an amazing player. I think he just needs to improve his play strength, and I might be a little bit biased when I say this because I am an Oregon Ducks fan for college football, but he is the best cornerback in the draft in my opinion, so yeah. With the 7th overall pick, the Las Vegas Raiders select Anthony Richardson, a quarterback from Florida. Anthony Richardson is a generational athlete. I mean, he is one of the strongest arms in probably league history. Like, his arm is extremely good. He's massive, and he's also pretty fast. But that being said, he's raw as hell, and he has to sit for a year. But like Will Levis, if he can iron out his fundamental issues, and if he sits for a year, I think he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. With the 8th overall pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Tyree Wilson, an edge rusher from Texas Tech. The Falcons' pass rush, it was downright terrible again last year. Now, I think they made some pretty solid additions in free agency, but Tyree Wilson, I mean, it really would not hurt to add him. I mean, the guy's a good run stopper, he's versatile, he is athletic, and he has really good size, but he does need to improve his pass rushing moves. But if the coaching staff can get him some more tools and some more moves in his bag, then I do believe that Tyree Wilson is going to be a really good player. With the 9th overall pick, the Chicago Bears via the Carolina Panthers. Forgot to mention the Bears. Well, the Panthers traded up with the Bears. The Bears select Paris Johnson, a tackle from Ohio State. The Bears' offensive line is not very good, and if they want Justin Fields to become even better, then I think they should improve it. Paris Johnson, he is athletic, he's a really good run blocker, and he is the best tackle in the draft in my opinion. And if he can improve his pass protection just a little bit more, then I do think he is going to be a really solid addition to this offensive line. Now at the 10th overall pick, we have our first trade of the video. The Eagles are going to be trading the 10th pick to the Steelers, and the Steelers will be giving up number 17, 49, and 234. So, with the 10th overall pick via the Philadelphia Eagles, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Peter Skoronski, a tackle from Northwestern. Now, some people do have concerns over his arm length and think that he should play guard in the NFL. I can understand where people come from when they say that, but Peter Skoronski, he is just a solid all-around offensive line prospect. He's really good technique. He's a great pass blocker. I think maybe he could play tackle in the NFL, but either way, I think he's going to be a really good offensive lineman. And the Steelers, if they want Kenny Pickett and Najee Harris to develop, they need to improve that offensive line. Now at the 11th overall pick, we have another trade. The Titans are going to be getting pick 20, pick 52, and pick 151, while the Seahawks get pick 11. And with the 11th overall pick via the Titans, the Seattle Seahawks select Devon Witherspoon, a cornerback from Illinois. The Seahawks really do need another corner opposite of Tariq Woolen. And Devon Witherspoon, he's arguably the best cornerback in this class. This man is, I think he's a solid athlete. He's really versatile and he can blitz well, and he's an extremely good man corner, and he could form one of the best cornerback duos in the league with Tariq Woolen if he does pan out. With the 12th overall pick via the Browns, the Houston Texans select Myles Murphy, an edge rusher from Clemson. The Texans' pass rush really does need some work. Now, Myles Murphy, he is pretty raw, and I think he does. Well, he's raw when it comes to his pass rushing. I think he needs to add some more pass rushing moves. But that being said, he has all the tools to be one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. He's big, he's athletic, and he's also a really good run stopper. Okay, this is Editing Rahul here. So I recorded this mock draft back on the 21st of April, I believe, and today's the 24th, and as you guys know, that is the exact date that Aaron Rodgers got traded to the Jets. So I'm gonna have to just re-edit this picks 13 to 15. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. With the 13th overall pick via the Jets, the Green Bay Packers do select Michael Mayer, a tight end from Notre Dame. We know the Packers really lack weapons outside of Christian Watson, and tight end is one of their weakest points. And believe it or not, actually, all the picks I'm going to be announcing for 13 through 15 are pretty much the exact same I had penciled in, but it's going to be easier to edit if I just re-record it. But yeah, anyways, Michael Mayer, again, as I said before, I had this penciled in. You know, he is not the most impressive athlete, but he is a solid all-around tight end who can block well, and he's also a really good pass catcher, so he would be a nice weapon for Jordan Love and that Packers offense. With the 14th overall pick, the New England Patriots, my favorite team, we select Zay Flowers, a wide receiver from Boston College. Our offense definitely got immediately better now that we hired Bill O'Brien, and I also think we have a lot of good wide receiver twos like Juju, Parker, Bourne. I think they're great wide receiver twos. However, we do lack a true wide receiver one, and you know, Zay Flowers, I know he can have some issues dropping the ball, and I know he lacks size, but that man is fast, versatile, explosive, is a good route runner. You know, besides those two issues I mentioned before, I mean, there's not a lot to hate about Zay Flowers, and I think you can easily fix the drop issue with good coaching, and you got to keep in mind, his quarterback play at Boston College was not very good, so, you know, you add Zay Flowers to that wide receiver room, and he pans out and is the wide receiver one that I think he can be, then the Patriots offense is looking really good, especially that wide receiver core. With the 15th overall pick via the Green Bay Packers, the New York Jets select Anton Harrison, a tackle from Oklahoma. I've done this pick before, but I mean, you know, the Jets offensive line isn't bad per se. However, Mekhi Becton is very injury prone, and you know, I don't know if he's going to be staying on this team long term. And Anton Harrison, one of my favorite tackles in the class, you know, he's a good pass blocker and he's very agile. I will say he can improve his run blocking, but I think he would be a really nice addition to this Jets offensive line. With the 16th overall pick, the Washington Commanders select Joey Porter Jr., a cornerback from Penn State. The Commanders' defense is pretty good, but they could really improve at cornerback. Now, Joey Porter Jr., he is an extremely good press man corner, and he's one of the best corners in this draft, and I think, you know, Joey Porter, if, you know, he would be a really good addition to this defense, and if he does pan out, that Washington secondary would be a whole lot better. With the 17th overall pick via the Steelers, the Philadelphia Eagles select Brian Branch, a safety from Alabama. The Eagles lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in free agency, and they are pretty weak at safety, but Brian Branch, he is a versatile chess piece who can play all over the field and is by far the best safety in the draft, in my opinion, and you know, he would ensure that the Eagles' defense is one of the best in the league. With the 18th overall pick, the Detroit Lions select Khalid Kansi, a defensive tackle from Pittsburgh. The Lions' edge rushers are actually pretty solid, however, they are weak when it comes to defensive tackle, and Khalid Kansi is the second best defensive tackle in this draft, in my opinion. I know he is undersized, and I know he's not great against the run, but this man is explosive, and he is an extremely good pass rusher, and he could greatly improve this Lions defense. With the 19th overall pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Osiris Torrance, an interior offensive lineman from Florida. This is kind of a boring pick, and I have done it before. I believe I did it last mock, but the Buccaneers' interior offensive line is not great outside of Ryan Jensen. They lost Shaq Mason this offseason via trade, and Osiris Torrance is the best interior O-lineman in this class. He's a great run blocker, and he is massive, and also, he has pretty good technique. With the 20th overall pick via the Seattle Seahawks, the Tennessee Titans select Darnell Wright, a tackle from Tennessee. The Titans' offensive line is looking pretty bad after free agency. They released Taylor Lewan and Ben Jones, and they also did lose Nate Davis. Darnell Wright, this man is massive. He's like 6'6", 335 pounds, I believe. But he's a really good pass blocker and has great technique. And he does struggle against some faster edge rushers. But that being said, He is one of the best tackles in this draft, and the Titans need to really fortify that offensive line. With the 21st overall pick, the Los Angeles Chargers select Quentin Johnston, a wide receiver from TCU. I believe I've done this pick before, but the Chargers wide receiving room really does need some speed, which is something they lack. And also, Keenan Allen is kind of injury prone, but Quentin Johnston, although he does need to improve his ability to separate, and I also think he needs to be more consistent catching the ball. He's 6'4", 215, and he's also really fast. He is a freak athlete, to put it quite simply, and I think he would pair very well with Justin Herbert. With the 22nd overall pick, I guess, we're skipping the Dolphins, I guess we'll say it's 22nd. The Baltimore Ravens, they select Jackson Smith-Njigba, a wide receiver from Ohio State. Now, I was very split on what to do. Do I take JSN or do I take Deonte Banks from Maryland? But I took JSN. I really could not pass up on him. I know they signed OBJ, but OBJ, I don't know if he's a wide receiver 1 at this point, but I do think he could make a good wide receiver 2. JSN, he is not super fast, but that being said, he's a great route runner, and he is a monster after the catch. And a wide receiving room of JSN, OBJ, and Rashad Bateman, who I still do believe in despite the fact that he is very injury prone. That's a really good wide receiving core, and if Rashad Bateman can start to live up to his potential and JSN is really good, then the Ravens wide receiving core could go from one of the worst in the league to one of the best. With the 23rd overall pick, the Minnesota Vikings select Deonte Banks, a cornerback from Maryland. We are all aware of just how bad the Vikings secondary was. Deonte Banks is one of the best cornerbacks in this draft class. That man is fast. He's really good in man. He's also solid in zone. And I also do think that he has good size, and he can also stop the run well. Simply put, this man is just a great cornerback prospect, and I think he would be a really big boost to this Vikings defense. With the 24th overall pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Broderick Jones, a tackle from Georgia. Jones is a little bit raw as a prospect, but that being said, he has the athletic tools to be one of the best tackles in the league. So if the Jaguars coaching staff can help him iron out his technique, then I do believe they'll have a great tackle on their hands. And, the Jaguars could really use one since they did lose Jawan Taylor in free agency. With the 25th overall pick, the New York Giants select Jordan Addison, a wide receiver from USC. The Giants actually have a lot of good wide receiver 2s and 3s and lots of deep threats and speedy wideouts, but they do lack a true wide receiver 1. I know Jordan Addison is not super big. He's 5'11", 175, and also his speed is fine, but it's not great either. But that man, really good route runner, can work all levels of the field, and he's also a monster after the catch. And if they want Daniel Jones to make that leap from, serviceable, top 15 quarterback to, top 8 to 10, then Jordan Addison could really help out. With the 26th overall pick, the Dallas Cowboys select Brian Bresee, a defensive tackle from Clemson. The Cowboys don't have a lot of weaknesses on their roster, but they could improve the interior of their D-line. Now, Brian Bresee, he did miss a lot of time in college, so I think it'll take a little bit of time before he does get used to the NFL game. But, he has the athletic tools and the traits to be a really good player in the league. With the 27th overall pick, the Buffalo Bills select DeJuan Jones, a tackle from Ohio State. I believe I've got offensive line for all 3 of these mocks. I know, that's a little bit boring, but the Bills' offensive line it's not very good, and if they do want to win a Super Bowl, they need to fortify that O-line. And DeJuan Jones, he is massive. That guy's 6'8", I believe 330 to 350 pounds. He's really heavy, and he's one of the best tackles in the draft, and I think he could really make this offensive line he can improve it. And again, if the Bills' offensive line is at least serviceable, then I do believe that they could really win the Super Bowl this year, finally. With the 28th overall pick, the Cincinnati Bengals select Cam Smith, a cornerback from South Carolina. The Bengals do need a cornerback kind of badly. Cam Smith, he is a really good man corner, and he also has really good ball skills. That being said, he can be a little bit grabby, and he's also not super big. He's like 6'1" and like 183 to 185 pounds, I think. But, you know, if the Bengals coaching staff can get him to be less grabby, then I do believe that Cam Smith, he could be an extremely good corner for them. With the 29th overall pick via the Broncos, via the Dolphins, via the 49ers, the New Orleans Saints select Lucas Van Ness, an edge rusher from Iowa. Van Ness, he is an extremely good athlete. He's like 6'5", 275 pounds. But that being said, he is kind of raw as a player, and I think he needs to improve his run defense and add some more pass rush moves. But if the Saints coaching staff can get him to improve his pass rushing moves, then I do think that he could be one of the best edge rushers in the league. And the Saints, they could use one since Cam Jordan is aging, and they also did lose Marcus Davenport. With the 30th overall pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select Bijan Robinson, a running back from Texas. I know some people won't like this pick because of the gripes of taking a running back in round 1, but that being said, Bijan Robinson is a generational running back prospect and is the best running back prospect we've seen since Saquon Barkley. And I mean, the Eagles, they could use a new starting running back now that Miles Sanders is gone. And, you know, Bijan Robinson would make that offense even more lethal. I mean, you got Jalen Hurts, got to count for his throwing and running ability. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, a great offensive line, plus Bijan Robinson. Oh boy, that's not going to be fun to game plan for. And with the final pick of this mock draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select B.J. Ojulari, an edge rusher from LSU. I've done this pick before, but, you know, the Chiefs, they do need an edge rusher, and B.J. Ojulari, I'll admit, his run defense is not great, but that being said, his pass rushing, you know, it's really good. He is one of the best pure pass rushers in this draft, and I think he would be a really good addition to that defense, but that's all I gotta say for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. Again, like, subscribe, do all of that stuff, and check me out on social media. The links to my Twitter and my Instagram, they are in the description below. But without further ado, I'm out, you guys.